If I were a rich white racist that hated black people, this is what I would do. I would handpick young black boys, mostly from single mother households who want to be rappers, and pay them millions of dollars to make music geared to destroying the black communities. I would make young black women become dependent on government assistance, but only if there's no father in the home. I would dump drugs into poor black communities, incentivize them to sell it and use it to cope with their problems, then put them in prison. I would turn black women against black men, making them disrespect them and hate them. I will use black celebrities, daytime TV, magazines, and the media to help push this. I will then poison their food and make it cheap so that poor blacks can afford to buy it, which will slowly kill them off. Then I'll implement liberal politicians and celebrities. They'll sell them truthful sounding lies. They'll pretend to relate to them. They'll make them think that Republicans are only for the rich and we're for the poor. Even though we live in big houses and safe neighborhoods far away from you poor blacks. And for my final trick, I'll cut them off at the source. I'll stop them from reproducing. I'll make abortion their get out of jail free card. I won't even have to kill black people. I'll just stop them from ever being born. And I'll make sure black women have abortions at a much higher rate than white women. They'll never suspect a thing because we'll make up some catchy slogan, something like my body, my choice. Yeah, that'll get them. We'll keep them broke, emotional, childless, and fatherless. And the best part is they'll still vote for us.
Man, now you tell me that guy wasn't spitting facts. I definitely can agree with where he come from. Yeah. So everybody, welcome to Dino Reacts, the channel where we take our ignorance up to excellence. And today we got two clips. One clip from my boy Officer Tatum. A young black gentleman is talking about how the racial divide in this country started in 2012 with Barack Obama. And my second clip is from Megyn Kelly, and she's talking about how all 96 indictments against Donald Trump were all a sham. So let's learn something new today. And as always, let's get after it. Officer Tatum is one of my favorite conservatives. When I was making my change in 2020, when I was clearly getting off the Democratic plantation, his channel was one of the channels that was completely giving me the truth and helped me really go down the rabbit hole of understanding what people were showing to me and how to go look for the research for what was honestly being said. And then I was able to just watch the news. I was always back in the day watching CNN, and I was watching a lot of MSNBC. But now I can watch it and then have my laptop or my iPad and then go get the full clips of the stuff they're trying to push on me. And then I realized they were lying. They were lying all the time. I would say of their news channels, it had to be at least 60% lies or fabrications or a way of just clipping it right to just not give you the full context of the truth. But Officer Tatum was great for that for me. That's why I love going to his channel for content. Good man right there. Good man.
This literally made my day. I just, more black men need to have these conversations so we can see what the truth is. Roll the clip.
Racism doesn't have any power.
Chuck, I don't agree with that. People were outwardly racist while Trump was in office. He gave the white people.
Like who?
He made it comfortable for people to be outwardly racist about how they feel. Chuck,
no, he didn't.
The climate was a lot different.
Studies came out about the racial divide trending in the wrong direction in 2013 when Barack Obama was entering his second term when the Black Lives Matter movement jumped off. Let's not make it seem like Donald Trump led to this big increase in the racial schism in this country. That happened under Barack Obama. Since we want to go there,
but did it happen?
Since we want to go, it happened. Yes, it did happen. We talk about one-way aggression. You allowed to be openly racist towards one particular group of people, and it's white people. Let's call a spade a spade.
White dudes are pussies.
And that's true. Listen, so many of my white brothers and sisters out there are afraid to even stand up for their own pride for America for the sake of being shut down or being called that they're against liberals and progressive movements. You can outwardly talk about your hate for white people and white expression openly right now amongst black communities without any shame. Basically, from what I can see, regurgitating the same racist talk points that I feel about the far right. And there are racists on the right, but they ain't my conservatives. But at least they don't be out there openly hating on black people like that. They keep it in the closet and wherever parties and wherever tents or Ku Klux shit they want to be a part of. But right now, today, on the left, it's open-ended expressive hate towards the white man. I mean, easily said. It's so much self-hate from white liberals towards themselves, it's insane for me to even see. And then it's starting to progress into not just open hate against white men, open hate against anybody that doesn't have a democratic ideal or democratic mindset. And it's becoming open racism towards that class, which is completely wrong. We're supposed to be all together, but like they are doing that. And this clip I show right now of people openly. And I feel like if to be a celebrity nowadays, especially if you want to deal with Hollywood or any type of just the main media sources, you have to completely buy into white guilt. And as a black person, you have to openly hate on white people. That's like your tool to get into the game with them. That's like your entry card to get into the parties that they're in. And I don't believe in that. We all Americans, homie.
White men are the issue. White men are the biggest threat to America. They are.
You got analysts on MSNBC.
Imagine if a white man said black men are the biggest threat to America, which black men are a bigger threat to America than white men are. Let's just keep it real. Stop capping. Look at the murder rate and all that other stuff. Look at the incarceration rate. Look at all these Black Lives Matter and all this so crazy stuff that's going on, looting. And come on. I hate that it's true, but it's true. Imagine if a white man said that about black people. Come on.
CNN openly referring to Donald Trump and his voters as Nazis. Nowhere in popular media do you see white people saying the kinds of things that you see people saying about white people on national television. From Joy Reid, Trevor Noah, Don Lemon, over and over again.
But Chuck,
you don't see that anywhere else.
You can't get on mainstream media and make light of other races doesn't mean that the racial climate is still not what it is.
The reason why the racial climate is what it is because that's what critical race theory seeks to do. It seeks to polarize for the purpose of finding people who are sympathetic to your cause. And you keep on dividing one group onto itself until you create a group of disenchanted, angry, dysfunctional people that you can then use for the purpose of your liberation. That's not my words. Those are the words of Herbert Marcuse himself. Anybody talking about race in this country or talking about critical race theory and have never heard the writings or the words of Herbert Marcuse, you cannot sit at this table and talk because you don't know the theory, you don't know the science.
Look, but like somebody never heard of them, but in their own eyes, they look out into the world and think, yo, that shit is fishy to me.
I don't give a damn about what you go out in the world and see.
A racial slur was spray painted on the front gate.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is dealing with a racist...
News found in the garage stall of Bubba Wallace.
See, this is all about narrative weaving and storytelling because they play upon people's emotions and how they feel. If I go to a doctor and tell a man, I feel like I'm having a heart attack, the doctor is going to run a specific set of tests to get to what is actually happening. He has to know the truth. He can't do medical procedures upon me based upon what I tell him I feel. He has to know for a fact. He has to know what he's talking about.
So he has to do a battery test.
He has to do a test because if he does the wrong treatment to me based upon what I feel, he could kill me.
Wow. Now, once again, that's another man spitting facts. The racial divide we currently have in this country is being completely perpetuated by the media. They keep showing us so many images because we are no longer the country that plays outside. A lot of us are glued to multimedia and phones, so they know that that is what's going to drive our mindsets. And that they keep pushing out here this hatred towards a subset of people. And right now it is currently the white man, which is completely sad because they're responsible for building this country, coming to an understanding of the faults that they had in the Constitution by not writing out slavery, having millions of their own countrymen fight for the abolishment of slavery just to now have it all thrown back in their faces by the same people they liberated, which is completely, to me, horrible. That's why me, as a true patriot of the United States, I always give my heart and I tip my hat to all my white brothers and sisters that fought the wars, got on the picket lines, were a part of the moments that led to me being able to make content like this, be able to date the beautiful white woman I have in my life, and see the world through the eyes of a true American, you know? And as we going forward in this country, and I'm starting to see this divide, this polarization moving further and further and further, I want to do my little part to bring that unity together. And I know it gets hard. We're all human beings. Ain't nobody perfect, you know? I find sometimes that I have a little bit of hate towards liberals because it drives me crazy that they can't see their way through the emotional fog and deception of the narrative being perpetuated and pushed on them based upon fear-mongering. And I can't get behind that. And since sometimes it feels like I can't reach them. I have the same issues with my mother sometimes. She's on the Kamala plantation hard. And no matter what I show her, it's like, I don't want to hear it, you know? Because it is what it is. But, well, keep doing my part to try to get this message out there that it help others. Now, let's get into our second clip. Our second clip is with Megyn Kelly, and she's speaking about all the indictments on Donald Trump. So let's make it happen. Yes, sir.
On appeal will win. There are so many holes in that case, so I don't think Trump will ever do one single day in jail.
Facts.
So, Megyn, if we look at the 5 cases, 6 months from now, a year from now, let's assume all 5 of them go to trial. He's guilty of 3 so far.
Wait, what do you mean he's guilty of 3 so far?
Well, he's been convicted of 3, sorry.
What do you mean? No, he hasn't.
I love this. Eugene Carroll was guilty.
That was not a conviction.
The reason why she says that, okay, you may think he's guilty and there is no convictions, is because he has not had a sentencing case. Anybody who has spent time in jail knows that you are still not officially guilty until they have a sentencing. A sentencing is when you are officially guilty of these crimes, and none of these things will happen. So I see where she's coming from.
That was a civil case.
Okay, well, yes, so that's what I'm talking about. So
okay, but there's a big difference.
It's still, he was convicted. He was guilty of that. He got a settlement. In the Trump organization, they're guilty there.
That,
okay,
again, was still civil, liable.
Yes, of course. But these are the cases we're talking about. And in the third one...
you know she's a lawyer, right?
Yeah, of course. And in the third one... I'm just talking about the 5 cases. Yes, some are civil, obviously, and some are not. Some are criminal. But if we look at all 5 cases...
You said 3 convictions. Now you're walking it back.
I'm not walking it back. There's 3 in which he was...
You should walk it back.
Okay, I'm so glad Megyn is here.
Of the 5, 3 of them he's either guilty or...
You got a bad result.
Yeah, got a bad result. There are 2 more. If he is found guilty of those 2 more, Megyn, and 5 of 5, he had a bad result. Way to frame it. Will you chalk all 5 up in your mind to 5 different jurisdictions, 5 different prosecutors, 5 different juries and or judges, all conspiring to get him?
100%.
Okay.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes, because it's not all 5. They're all conspiring together, and all of them are Democratic-led environments and Democratic process judges. So of course, and especially with the climate today about how much they hate this man, yes, 100%. So it's not 5 different cases. I mean, it's definitely 5 different cases, but it's not 5 different jurisdictions. No, they are on the phone doing this together. And it's so plain and easy to see just based upon the timing of the cases themselves. And any common sense person knows that if they had all this stuff on Donald Trump from years past, January 6th was in 2020, man. They could have brought that stuff. He'd been out of office, but now he's running for it. And then they bring up all of this stuff before he gets out of office. Election interference, 1,000%. Any common sense person knows that. But the Democrats don't run on common sense. They run on fear-mongering emotions. Conservatives run on common sense. That's why, for me, being raised a Christian, it was easy for me to come to a conservative mindset because that's my natural base set. I didn't come out of the liberal victimhood mindset. Because that to be a victim is to always be in emotions. That's what victim is. I've never met a person that lived in a state of victimhood that also had a high level of common sense. Those 2 things have never existed in the same room. All victim people run off emotions and fear. So if you blaming anybody from your position in life, from where you are currently, and if you're saying that someone else is stopping you from doing what is necessary for you to be successful in this beautiful land called the United States of America, then you are an emotional person that lacks common sense. Because from common sense, you can see common threads. From common threads, you can have a common understanding, and that will easily get you to see that you are the single focus and the captain of your life to make things happen, and that life has obstacles. period. And you can get through all obstacles based upon how you decide to approach them and react to them. So when it comes to Donald Trump and all this political lawfare coming against him, this is strategic for electric interference. And since he is not a part of the men in the black suits that are behind the Bidens and the Kamalas and the Barack Obamas and the Hillary Clintons, he's not with them. He don't want nothing to do with them. They are trying to destroy this man, trying to take his livelihood, put him in prison, also tried to take his life, take all of his property, disgrace his entire family. They are doing what is known as the biggest media destruction tour I've ever seen towards anybody in my lifetime. There probably have been bigger in the past, but in my lifetime, I've seen nothing like this. And this is insane. Insane. Especially because Trump is an American. Born, true, cold to the heart. American. And all he wants is the best for us. And we got him. Let's go.
I wanted to hear your answer, Jim. 5 of 5 different jurisdictions. Yeah. You think it's all lawfare?
E. Jean Carroll, they changed the law so that she could bring a civil lawsuit against him, and she did. New York went 87% for Joe Biden. That fix was in right from the start. The fraud trial that Letitia James brought against him has never been brought. There's no victims. The banks who were involved said, we didn't lose a penny. What are we doing here? We weren't damaged. Nobody was complaining except Tish James, who ran for office saying, I will get him. Then you have Alvin Bragg, who's a George Soros-funded prosecutor who doesn't like to prosecute any crime in New York City, where I lived for 17 years, except if your name is Donald Trump. Let's go down to Georgia, where Fani Willis and Nathan Wade couldn't keep their libidos in check long enough to actually bring this case against Donald Trump. It's a repeat of what was happening in January 6th up in the case with Judge Chutkan, who loathes Trump and has sentenced almost every J6 defendant to way more jail time than their counterparts would get. Those are falling apart because of presidential immunity, which was handed down by the Supreme Court, who said you cannot bring a criminal case against a sitting president for any official act. Those cases have been gutted. Also a Supreme Court ruling saying the same.
That's the whole thing about some acts against what Donald Trump did on January 6th did not constitute any type of criminal act. I've watched too much of the videos. We all know he said go over there peacefully and quietly. I've watched too many hours of the January 6th tapes of security guards from inside of the buildings opening locked doors to let people in. Anybody explain that? Nobody died on that day, even they trying to say something. They have completely shut down everything when it comes to the pipe bombing. They can find all these other people, but they can find a pop one. The QAnon guy is out of prison. And he's supposed to be the leader of it. Why is he out of jail? Why are so many other people still in jail and he's out? You know what I'm saying? There's so many holes in that case. On top of Nancy Pelosi saying herself that when Donald Trump called to make the call for the National Guard to be there, she said no. And then on top of that general, I forgot General Whitmer, I think, who said the same thing. He said no when Trump called for aid. So with all that known, and they're still trying to say that was an insurrection and not what I would call I probably don't have the word for this, but a federally incited violent riot, because it wasn't an insurrection. There was no weapons involved in it. So it can't be an insurrection. They weren't taking over the government. They were protesting. And then on top of all the protesters on college campuses, in the Capitol building, at judges' houses, in front of the White House, in front of the DNC, all the fires and looting, and none of them people are being arrested? Yeah, this all was a political tactic. Us common sense people know that, and there's more people like me than these people are getting credit for. And West, we are voting. That the people that are continually to back this emotionally without doing any concrete or decent research, or in the case of my own mother, you can give her straight facts and she won't believe them. Those type of people, they scare me. But we still got to be prepared for them, because that's what I meant earlier when I talked about the lack of common sense. Those people don't have it. What they actually have is only emotional reasoning, which means that all of their logic comes based upon their fear. And below that fear is a deep lack of trust in themselves. So they must keep the fear present, because it's the only flame they have to give them any type of thought process. And that thought process is coming from straight delusion, insanity.
On January 6 defendants in general. And that leaves us with Florida and the documents. And Trump has torn that apart because Jack Smith wasn't properly appointed and isn't the right counsel. But there are other issues. They haven't even gotten to presidential immunity there. And so that one's going nowhere as well. And by the way, they're going to appeal it up to the 11th Circuit. She just threw it out. The 11th Circuit is conservative, and thank God so is the current Supreme Court. They're not going to tolerate that nonsense.
Let me ask you about...
think
Let's hear. The attack coming from the left is threefold. First, attack white men by calling them racist, and then that so they can create some type of level of guilt. In that attacking of white men, they introducing critical race theory, which only perpetuate in the younger mind that the white man is a problem and that their skin. They're making white people self-hate themselves at a young age through critical race theory, which is completely sad. Number two, introduce the new religion. The new religion right now is LGBTQ rainbow movement. That is being pushed everywhere as the norm for you to be accepted in society. You have to accept that you are a part of the they, them, they, dog, cat, can touch, kiss anybody, freedom of movement, free sexuation, no type of temperance, and the complete destruction of Christianity. Because Christianity gives us what? Love of God, structure, and easy understanding how to live as a man and as a woman with each other under the presence of God's guidance. And then number three, making sure you hate your country. You know what I'm saying? Blaming every atrocity that you've ever experienced in your life, not on the politicians that are writing the laws, but on the country that you currently reside in. They're doing those three things continually to the right. And they're making the left feel that the right is the one keeping them from their prosperity and their ability to govern themselves in the world. And to get anywhere in the world, that they're going to take something from them. Like, I got one question to ask completely to anybody on the left. What right did Donald Trump take away from you during his 4 years in office that you got back when Kamala and Biden got in office? Just name one. What right, what law, what privilege did Donald Trump take from you that you got back when Biden became president? I hear the Jeopardy theme music in my head right now. So what is all this hate for? What is all this Hitler stuff? Explain it to me.
I think J. Cal just lost his right to ever bring up lawfare again. We're done with your bullshit. It's over.
We're not here to hear my opinion. I didn't give my opinion. I wanted Meg. That's my job as Democrat.
Straight up facts. And that's the end of the clip right there. And I'm going to definitely say that going forward, this country we're going through a very rude awakening when it comes to the conscious mind versus the fear-mongering mind. And I didn't understand how deep it was until I was able to step back from it and see it. Now that I see it, I can't unsee it. But now that I'm finally getting over my political fatigue, which completely happened because studying politics and realize you're being lied to this much can be quite draining. But now that I understand the approach to it, let's get back here and get this message out. We're here to protect God, protect this country, and protect the liberty and rights of every single color and race in this country to find and live the American dream. Let's make ourselves energy independent. Let's get ourselves back into the grace of this world. You know what I'm saying? And America first. Let's get after it. Yes, and thank you all for watching Dino Reacts. If you like my content, like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, chef's kiss. Mwah.